Hi everyone, welcome to Baba Urban Farming Workshop. I'm Jess from Baba. So today our topic is how to DIY different types of compost at home. So just now at the comment we can see that tonight a lot of friends have tried compost at their home before, and then most of the question has most of the problems that they face our friends facing is the smell. Yeah, the smell of compost if one of the main common issue that are facing by those who like to do compost, because as we know that compost is very useful for our vegetable and also our food trees. And also another problem always we facing is we don't know when the compost is done. So how could we know that it is ready to use for our plants? Yeah, so tonight Hans will share with us several methods to do compost at home and also tips to overcome the common problems. So welcome to click on the share button and share out our online shop to your friends so that everyone can do their own compost at home easily. So before I start, I will have a quick introduction about Baba and Hans. Baba is a gardening accessory manufacturer from Malaysia. We continuously deliver quality, creative, and eco-friendly gardening products to farmers and gardeners. We focus on developing eco-friendly products and promote organic farming. Planting in organic way is important to conserve our environment. So we always share organic farming method with farmers and provide trainings to encourage farmers reduce the usage of toxic chemicals. By this, it is good to farmer and also reduce the agrochemical pollution. Through our sharing, we hope to make farming and urban farming easier to everyone. So for friends who just joined, tonight Hans will share on how to DIY different types of compost at home. Do you know that we can turn our kitchen waste, garden waste into compost, which are very useful our garden easily? So later Hans will share different types of composting method to us. So welcome to click on your share button and share our tonight workshop to your friends. After hand sharing, we will have a Q&A section. You may write down your question in the comment anytime, and I will read out your question to Hans during the Q&A section. So tonight we will have Hans as our speaker. He graduated from Iowa State University of US with bachelor honor degree of agriculture and biosystem engineering. He has more than 2 years management experience in a 2,000 acres farm in US. He also been trained as organic farmer in Shixing Organic Farm in Taiwan. He been visiting to Malaysia farm and conduct research on organic farming in the past 7 years. He continuously provide assistance and consultation to local farmers who would like to convert to organic farming. So he is familiar with organic or non-pesticide farming practice. So now, welcome Hans Liang.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Hans. We meet again here. We really appreciate your time. You spend your time with us tonight again to learn about the topics today together. So today, we would like to talk about how to DIY, make yourself different types of compost at home. So actually, we write here that different types of compost, but actually we would like to talk about the composting method because it depends on the space, available time you have. Then we would like to share about the composting method by using different type of materials. So if you really love gardening, there is a saying that never plant without a bucket of compost at your side. This is said by Elsa Bacalar, which is a very well-known gardening designer in the United States. Compost can be considered as the most important thing in soil conservation, soil regeneration, organic farming, wherever you can relate the properties, the health to the soil. Compost is one of the crucial components. Therefore, compost can be considered as soil savior. If you do composting at home, you may contribute also to reducing the disposal of food waste globally. But we quite often receive the PN about the problems below. So probably I share about some of the problems and you may face these problems as well. For example, we just don't know how to deal properly with the food waste, all different kind of food waste, and how to turn them into compost. And am I making the compost correctly? Can I just dig a hole and throw all the food waste inside? And how long can I grow the plant after then? When my plants get yellow or burned after applying coffee ground directly on plants, can I use coffee waste? I just don't have large backyard to make compost. What else can I do? And most of the problems, okay, as I see from the comments, but I didn't write here, okay, is about the smell. And a lot of small creatures got worms, got flies around the compost. So why that happened? And we will explain that later on. So through this platform today, hopefully we can learn all this together. We can understand what compost is, understand the benefits of compost, the requirement of good quality compost, and we can know different types of home composting and their application method and the rate. Okay, right now we come to the topic, what is compost and what is the benefits of compost. So the compost is actually fully fermented organic material which have been fully broken down into organic matter, which is organic fiber and nutrients. So you can see the keyword here is what? Is fully, okay? It needs to be fully fermented, not just raw, not just half fermented, not just undergo heat treatment. We need it to be fully fermented, okay? So with fully fermented compost, actually we can supplement the ground organic matter with good and various beneficial microbes and comprehensive nutrients. Wherever nutrients you can imagine to the ground, like NPK, calcium, magnesium, all kinds of trace elements can assist inside the compost alone. Let's say the organic matter. So the organic matter actually is an organic fiber to the ground, okay? To the of the compost that help the ground to keep the soil fibrous, loosen, and fertile. So if we just apply the compost to a very infertile ground or to very clay soil, like yellow soil or the red earth, something like that, after a long time, it can eventually help to improve the soil properties. And the compost also help to supply the beneficial microbes to the ground. Usually, these beneficial microbes will live at root surroundings, and the beneficial microbe assist will help to protect the roots and enhance the root growth of root hair. So once the root is strong enough, the plant will tend to be healthier. And compost also provide comprehensive nutrients to the young plant. So you can just imagine, we cannot just throw chemical fertilizer to the plant when they are still young. It's just like a baby, okay? We cannot just feed the baby with rice, with vegetables, with all kind of meats. We cannot do that. We feed them with milk powder. And this compost is something like a baby milk powder for plants. It provides the most necessary nutrients for early stage of the plants. And there are other benefits, okay, to the ground. Like for example, it helps to increase the soil organic matter levels, and it helps to store the carbons so that it captures back the carbon dioxide to the ground, and it helps to regulate the water, increase the soil buffering capacity, increase the soil organisms, build up the plant's nutrient bank, and so on. There are a lot of benefits you can imagine. So that's why once we finish ferment the compost, we mix them with soil during soil or bed preparation to restore or prepare the soil back into the fertile state. And there are some several practice for home gardening, okay, in making this compost. For example, we may just apply chicken manure pellets, okay, which may be not fully composted yet, or we saw some people just apply raw chicken dung to the ground, okay, and these may be not fully composted yet too, because it's very cheap, but at the same time, oh, where you may smell some, like let's say some ammonia smell from this kind of dung, animal dung, and this ammonia gas, when we bring it into the ground, it becomes a rich source of nitrogen to the plant. But at the same time, we expose the plant to more risk. As you can see here, this is the surface of raw chicken dung. Okay, you see there are some black yellow dots over here. Those are bad microbes. Okay, and the microbes we just don't know what it is. Okay, we expose the plants to more risk, like the microbes and insects harmful to the plants, and also some pathogenic microbes such as salmonella. So there are some salmonella existing in chicken dung, okay? Chicken egg, you can imagine. So if we just throw the raw chicken dung into the ground, and we may harvest the vegetables together with salmonella, and we eat it, and we may expose to the salmonella too. So this salmonella will cause us to have some serious diarrhea and so on. If we change into applying cow dung or goat dung instead, which may not be fully composted too, it's relatively cleaner than the chicken dung, but we may expose the ground to more weeds, because the cow and goats, what they eat the grass. So they may just eat the grass together with the weeds and also the seeds of the weeds. Okay, so they poop out, and then there are some seeds. Okay, the seeds of the weeds inside their poop. And if we directly apply the coffee ground or food waste to the soil, these coffee ground and food waste, there are a lot of nutrient content which has not been fermented yet. So we can say it's relatively more salty, okay? And at the same time, it needs to compete the nutrient with microbes. So that's why the plant get yellowing, because when we just throw all these organic things to the ground, the microbes need some nutrients, and then to start breakdown process, they need to have nitrogen, they need to have some carbon from the ground. Okay, so at that time they can just get these nutrients from the surrounding. Okay, and they will compete the nutrients with the plants. So that's why the plant get yellow. So what is the requirement for good quality home compost? Okay, usually the compost, it needs to be in powder form, because it's easily to be broken down by microbes, and it retains the organic matter, microbes, and nutrients. Sometimes we can see there are some like chicken dung pellets, and we use it as a base fertilizer, but this might not be a good choice, because during the pelletization process, it usually involving the squeezing and heating process, which may kill the contained beneficial microbes. And secondly, we need to make sure that the organic things inside the compost are fully fermented. It's not only retain the organic matter, microbes, and nutrients, but it also helps to eliminate the risk of, let's say, the pathogenic microbes, more risk, yellowing leaves, and so on. The things we mentioned just now. All right, so we do some short revision over here. The compost is fully fermented organic material that have been broken down into organic matter, like organic fiber and nutrients. The compost is usually mixed with soil during soil or bed preparation to restore the soil to optimal fertile state. The compost will help to conserve the soil health by giving the organic matter or organic fiber, the beneficial microbes, and also the comprehensive nutrients. If we directly apply the raw chicken dung, cow dung, goat dung, coffee ground, or food waste which are not fermented yet, we may expose the plants to more risks, such as the plant disease, the human pathogenic microbes, more waste, nutrient competition, and so on. And requirement for good quality compost will be usually in powder form and fully fermented. So right now we see the different ways of home composting that we can ensure full fermentation of the organic material. The first type, the first method, we call it trench composting, or we call it dig and drop composting. You just simply dig a hole, okay, in the backyard and throw the food waste inside. Later, we will share with you about like 5 methods of home composting, okay. They might sound easy, but there are some tips, there might some precaution that we need to take care, okay. Please take note, okay. And if we follow this, we have high chance to avoid like those the smelly case or a lot of worms or flies flying around, okay. So the first type, we come back to here, okay, is trench composting. It's about digging a hole in the backyard and throw the food waste inside. Okay. The question is, how deep the hole need to be? How long it need to get fermented before getting planted? Well, let us see how to make this properly. Firstly, we need to dig a hole. There is more than 1 foot deep, okay, around like 30 to 40 cm, okay. So the size of the hole, the length, it depends on how much waste you wish to bury or how much waste you generate each day. And then we fill up the food waste, okay, up to half of the depth, okay, and we don't compact them, okay, because we need to have retain some air inside the food waste and then to initiate the breaking down process, okay. Remember, we don't fill up more than half of the depth of the hole. So usually it takes about like 10 to 15 cm of the hole. And then we top up with another layer of dry leaves, dry grass, branches, okay, and for better aeration, okay. So it takes another 5 cm of thickness, and this is optional, okay. We may top up with a thin layer of previously made compost or market-ready compost to initiate the fermentation process better and faster. So we just put top a thin layer of like 2 to 5 cm. And then we cover it with soil, okay? We let the microbes, earthworms, the small animals inside the ground doing the works. By doing this method, it takes about like 3 to 6 months to complete the fermentation. So 3 months is usually like, let's say it's sunny day, okay, the weather is hot, the fermentation will get the process is faster. But it's keep raining, the weather is cloudy, maybe it takes longer time, up to 6 months to complete the fermentation. Okay, so after that, we can just start growing the plants on top of this portion of soil. The pros, okay, the advantage of doing this method is easy, less work, okay, and it works for various kind of food waste, no matter the leafy food waste, the vegetable food waste, the citrus waste, citrus fruit waste, the meat, okay, the eggshell, all works here, okay, but it needs large space and it requires more time for decomposing. Just now we say 3 to 6 months before it can start to get planted. The second way we can do composting is what we call aerobic composting or pile turning composting. It's something like this. You can actually make something like a wooden crate over here, Okay, or you just power it like this on the right hand side, and then to do the composting. So we just pile up the food waste, and we need to keep turning the compost, and then to initiate the fermentation process. So this is the material that the proportion of the materials that we need to add into the compost. Okay, let's say the fibrous material. Okay, the fibrous material, it takes like 40 to 60%. The fibrous means that the material that have a lot of fiber, like the dry leaves, the dry branches, okay, the dry grass, okay, whatever, a lot of fiber inside this kind of material. We put like about 40 to 60%. Let's say we put 50%. And then we put animal manure or fine material, but for home composting, I do not suggest animal manure because it produces a lot of smell. Okay, if your surrounding don't have a lot of people, you may put animal manure. But for home, if you don't want to put animal manure, you may replace with the fine material instead. Like for example, fine material means that the material that is easily to be broken down, like the fruit skin, the leafy vegetables, the bean curd, or whatever that is easily to be broken down. Okay, we put another 50%. So from the ratio over here, we can see the fine material and the fibrous material, the ratio is like 1:1. Okay, then we mix with the effective microbes, okay, the EM. We need to pile up to 1 meter high, okay, and mix together. For these kind of compost, we need to avoid meaty and oily material. Means that we don't want to put meat. We don't want to put oil material like curry, okay, because this meat and this oily material is hardly to be broken down by these kind of microbes inside here, okay. And then we need to mix with water until 60% of moist. Okay, what is the meaning of 60% of moist? Means that it's just ngam moist. You take out a pile of mixed compost. Okay, if you squeeze it hardly, okay, you found there is no water running out from your hand. If there is water, means that it's too moist. We need to put more material to make it drier. Okay, and when you release it, you can see it's still very it's still chunky. It's just not like fall out like that. Okay, if that's the characteristic, means that this material just ngam moist. And this is the minimum space, 1 meter height, minimum space required for the aerobic composting. We need to turn the compost like this every 1 to 2 weeks because we need to pump the oxygen inside the center of the compost to make the composting and fermentation process faster. This method, it really takes a lot of energy. Imagine you just have one person and you need to turn like this a lot. Okay, it's a good exercise, but it's really tiring. Okay, so if you want to work on this, make sure, okay, you have 2 person or you have a fair bit of space and then to work on this. You can see during the composting process, especially when we turn the compost, it produces smoke. It's actually the water moisture running out from the compost, okay? And this, when there is smoke coming out, it means that it start to undergo high temperature composting process. With this kind of composting, as you can see, initially the height is about like 1 meter height, but after fully composting, the height will be reduced up to half of the original height. It takes like 1.5 to 2 months to complete the fermentation process. How do we know is the fermentation is completed? It goes to high temperature and it cool down to the room temperature, and when we touch the compost and then it's cool enough, okay, we can use it. The height of the pile is reduced by 30 to 50%, and the smell of the compost like fresh soil, dark brown in color. And I saw some comment, some of our friends say that, oh, the compost smell like soy or smelled like orange because they put some orange peel inside, I think there's a very good quality compost. Okay. The pros of this kind of compost is it provides you a better quality compost because more oxygen inside, and then the fermentation is, I mean, the breakdown process is more complete. And this takes relatively lesser time than trench composting. Okay, it only like take 1.5 to 2 months compared to 3 to 6 months on the trench composting. But the cons or the disadvantage is that it need large space. It's very labor intensive. It's very tiring because it need to turn the compost. It need monitor and control, and it may emit bad odor, okay, during composting process, and we cannot mix the material with meaty and oily material. Unless, just now I say that it may emit the odor, but if you mix only the plant-based material, usually the odor is fresh, okay, it's not that smelly. All right, now we come to the third method, aerobic anaerobic mixed composting, or we call it bin composting. Okay, it's really common. Okay, we just pile the food waste in the bin bit by bit, layer by layer, and we weigh it. We weigh the food material to fully compost it. So what we need, eventually we can do this by ourselves, is that we just need to take a clean container. And bottom here, we need to have a filter. So it could be a filter net, or we can, if we don't have a filter net, we can put the stone pebbles underneath here. Okay, so that all the liquid inside the food waste will settle down to the bottom. Okay. And then we need to have a drainage over here, and we can make it into a drainage hole, or we can have a tap. And lastly, we need to have enclosure. Okay, and this is optional. We can put another layer, thin plastic layer over here too. Later, I will explain why. So what we need to do is we just need to pile up the food waste, okay, and wait it to be fully composted. So one pile of compost maker about like 1 cm thick, okay, and then one pile, one layer of food waste about like 2 to 3 cm thick, okay. So it's layer by layer, as you can see from the diagram here, layer by layer by layer. The food waste, in this case, you need to cut fine, okay? It's vegetarian, means that you cannot put any meat, you cannot put any oily material. And we also need to avoid putting acidic or citric material inside unless you cut let's say the orange peel, it needs to be cut into very, very fine. It should be fine. And then for the compost maker, it could be previously made compost, or you can put market-ready compost, or you can put the topsoil spray with beneficial microbes. And then after that, we put the food waste layer by layer. We need to remember to drain the liquid out from time to time because there is water inside the food waste. Okay, and if we don't drain the liquid out, can you imagine that the trash bin, okay, inside got water? What will it be? It will be very smelly because inside got the food waste and trapped with water. Okay, so we need to drain the liquid out. Okay, and the liquid drained out could be the liquid fertilizer too. After that, after we put it layer by layer, we need to close the enclosure tightly, but not airtight. Okay, every time we need to ensure close tightly to avoid the flies, the house flies, from laying the eggs inside. Okay, and we need to avoid the exposure to the rain. So we just don't put this kind of bin outdoor that constantly being rained. We need to put enclosure. That's why I really recommend we can put another thin layer of plastic, like just the plastic paper, okay? Just put a thin layer and we put the enclosure, and we take another heavy object to press on it, okay, to make sure it's closed tightly. So when it's full, we need to wait another 1 month to finish decomposing or fermentation. We can just take note that when the material inside are gone, okay, that's the right time we can make use of this compost. So the pros for this kind of method, bean composting, okay, is easy and controllable. It requires less space. It requires less time compared to the trench composting and power turning composting, but it's not suitable for family who produce a lot of kitchen waste, and there are limited types of compostable material. So you can treat the bean composting method is vegetarian, okay, and we need to avoid putting the acidic or citrus materials inside. And the fourth method, okay, we would like to talk about is vermicomposting, okay. As you can see from this picture, what is this? Earthworm, okay. We let the earthworms or the insects doing the job, okay. They just eat, digest, and poop, okay. And we take the poop and to put inside the ground. So the structure of vermicompost bin is something like this, okay. Eventually, you can make this by yourself. We need to make sure that each of the compartments can be easily taken out, okay, because we have some things to do for each compartment. So we can see here, we need to have at least 3 compartments for this vermicompost bin. Okay, so for the first two compartments, you can see here. Okay, this is the active area for the garbage, for the food waste and worms, and the second compartment here is the worm casting. The third layer is the liquid. Okay, so they consistently produce urine, okay, produce some liquid, okay, and then these are the worm tea collection over here, the liquid fertilizer. And the first two compartments, we need to have holes at the side over here, okay, and the bottom to have air ventilation going on inside, okay. So what we can get from the second layer, from the second compartment over here is the worm casting, okay, or the vermicompost, which is what we need, okay, to apply to the ground. And the third layer over here, okay, is a worm tea collection. It's a byproduct of vermicompost. We can take this liquid and dilute it to become the liquid fertilizer for the plant. As you can see here, we have bathing material over here. Means that after you put the food waste inside, okay, and we need to cover it with some bathing material. So this bathing material could be cocoa peat, could be cardboard, could be newspaper. We just top up on top, okay. And the most importantly, we need to have a cover, okay, to avoid bird, okay, from eating the earthworm. So we have some friends, they just forgot to put the cover, and then they just curious why the earthworm is getting less and less. And they notice that because the bird just go to eat the earthworm. So we need to put the cover on top, okay? As you can see over here, these compartments is very easy to do. You can easily make it by yourself. We just need to make sure there is a hole underneath here and a hole beside here for the first and the second compartment. There are some precautions when we do this vermicompost. We need to avoid putting too much food waste each time. The most only like 5 cm thick, okay, to avoid heat up composting process. So what I mean here is that if you put the compost way too thick, okay, and then it start to produce heat, it's something like doing the compost, okay, and the heat inside will just start to kill the earthworm, which we don't want it to happen, okay. So when we put the food waste on top, the earthworms that usually stay at the bottom, they will surface, okay, and eat the foods, okay, and they will poop underneath here, and the poops were coming out from the bottom over here, okay. And there are some limitation on the food waste we put inside the vermicompost bin, okay. As we can see here, we just don't want to put any meat, okay, any oily substance, and no acidic and citrus fruit as well. And one of the biggest advantage here is when we do this, there are more earthworms reproduce. Okay, so we can take this earthworm to make another vermicompost, or we can just put it into the ground and let the earthworm help to do the job, help to transform your soil to become better, to become healthier. All right, the pros for vermicompost is easy, controllable, it requires less space. The food waste can be reduced very quick by everyday feeding them, okay, feeding the earthworm. And more earthworm can be produced, which is really good for soil and ground. But the cons is that we need to get earthworm. We need to have a source of earthworm from startup, okay? And there are also limited types of compostable material, okay? Is vegetarian. We need to also avoid the citrus and the acidics. And the fifth composting method is what we call the bokashi compost, okay? It's, as you can see, there is a bin over here too. It's almost similar to the bin composting, but it's smaller scale and faster. The components for the bokashi compost over here is compressing spatula, the bucket with tap and filter, and also we need to have one of the crucial component is bokashi bran, the bran with mixed with EM. So how do we do the bokashi compost? Easy. We just put the food waste into bucket around each time around like 3 to 5 cm. Okay. No meaty, no oily substance inside. Okay. But this you can put eggshell, you can put citrus, peel, acidic is fine. And this one we need to compress the food waste with spatula. Okay, this is a little bit different as compared to others. This one we need to compress with the spatula. Okay, after compress, we broadcast it with the bokashi bran evenly on top of each layer of food waste. So we just put about like half centimeter thick, should be fine. Just need to cover almost like the most of the food waste over here. And then after that, we cover with lid and we check the content from time to time. And once you have another new food waste, you just put another layer again and broadcast with the bokashi bran again. And we need to remove the liquid from time to time. So the liquid removed is what we call the bokashi tea. It's one kind of liquid fertilizer as well. We can dilute it and spray to the plant. It's very good for the plant. So when it's almost full, and we think, and if we noted that the most top layer of the food waste get white mold, okay, what we need to do is we pour out and bury inside the soil again for another 1 month to let the soil, to let the decomposition of a fermentation take place inside the soil. So this composting method, okay, bokashi composting is easy, it's controllable, it requires least space compared to others, and consistent compost quality. But we need to get in a constant source of bokashi bran. And the thing is that we need to semi-compost inside the bin first before burying inside the ground. And it need to take another 1 month. So among these 5 methods, okay, which method is more suitable for you? It depends. Like let's say the pulp composting or the vermicompost, to me, is very good quality, but we need to keep working on that. Let's say the pulp composting, we need to keep turning the compost. The vermicompost, we need to keep feeding the food waste. If we don't feed the food waste, the earthworm will just get reduced from day to day. For others, okay, the quality is okay as long as they are fully composted, fully fermented, and they are relatively easy to do. For the space, trench composting, it takes the larger space. The bokashi composting, it takes smaller space, okay? So it depends on what your available space and available time, and then to work on this compost. The application rate for the compost over here, provided that those composts are fully composted, we need to plow the compost into the soil during bed or soil preparation. If you have bed, you have ground, we put 4 to 5 8 tons of compost per acre, or you put every 100 feet feet square, put 10 to 20 kilogram of compost, or you can premix it inside the planting media, okay? Because it provides like the baby milk powder, as I said just now. If you really don't have time to make your own compost, or you don't have enough space to make one compost for yourself, you may choose market-ready compost. For example, like this one, okay, as I said just now, is a available market-ready baby milk powder for your plants. Okay, it's made from the plant source material. It's made from the plant material like the sugar cane and mushroom baggers, rice bran, oil palm waste, and it's turned by the machine from every day, and it's being fermented for 4 months and above. So all these ingredients have been fully broken down into nutrients and fibers, and it can provide all these material to the ground: organic matter, beneficial microbes, and comprehensive nutrients. So when you choose or buy the market-ready compost, we need to we can try to choose the good quality compost that at least comply with the following organic fertilizer standard for compost. Okay, for example, the organic matter is more than 50%, means that inside the fibrous content is more than 50%. So when we put inside the ground, most of the nutrients will be absorbed by the plant, but half of it will still be fiber that can keep your soil fibrous and also loosen, so that we need not to keep changing the soil. And the heavy metals need to be under tolerance limit. Okay, as you can see, we need to avoid chromium, lead, nickel, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, and others. And also, it should not contain human pathogenic microbes. So this compost will undergo like what we call the 5 harmful microbe test, so that it does not contain E. coli, Pseudomonas, Salmonella, Staphylococcus, and so on. So we draw some conclusion over here. Today, we share about like 5 types of home composting: can composting, aerobic pile composting, bin composting, vermicomposting, and also bokashi composting. And we can choose the method suitable to us based on the available space and time you can work towards the compost. And if you don't have time to make your own compost, and please choose the good quality compost that comply with several common organic standards over here. For example, it should contain more than 50% organic matter. Heavy metal content should not exceed the tolerable limit, and also it should not contain human pathogenic microbes. So our expectation for this compost is we want to keep the soil to be more fertile from time to time. If you are really interested in compost or the composting bin and where you can get it from the major garden centers and also on a platform such as Lazada and Shopee. All right, thank you very much. Now I pass the time and session to Jess.
Thanks for the sharing from Hans. So I think that most of the participants for tonight have gained a lot of the information, because there is a lot of questions.
Oh yeah,
in.
I told me I love questions.
Okay, first and all, I would like to check with Hans, because there's a lot of question regarding our can I add this, can I add that. There's a lot of question regarding the ingredients. So I will like to check with Hans regarding some ingredients. For example, cooked prawn shell. Is it okay to add on?
Oh, the cooked prawn shell should be avoided in bin composting. Okay, bin composting. But if you do it into bokashi compost, if you do it in pile composting, it should be fine. Okay, but bin composting, like the shell, the egg shell, the prawn shell, the shelly things should be avoided.
Okay, and then sourdough.
Sourdough, you mean the bread?
Yeah.
The yeast, the bread?
Yeah,
it should be fine.
Yeah.
It should be fine. It should be fine to add into any of these methods.
Okay, and then how about the fallen leaf that in the garden?
Oh, it should be fine for all these material because they are all they like vegetarian. Okay, so it should be fine.
Okay.
Oh, but the thing is that to make the breakdown process for the dry leaves, the dry branches better, we make it into small portion. Okay, we cut into fine. Okay, fine size. Okay, before we put it inside the material, mixed material.
Okay, then how about the moldy veggie? Means the veggie already keep for a long time, then
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. No worries. Okay, you can just put inside, and then all the good microbes will just eat the bad microbes, and then start the fermentation process. So it's fine.
okay. Then how about this a little bit sensitive? How about the dead pets?
No. Because the dead pets actually inside there are a lot of like the meat decaying microbes, the housefly maggots inside, whatever you can think. Okay, so the dead pets don't put inside the compost. Really not recommended. Okay.
Okay, then how about why the acidic fruits is not acidic fruits and papaya are not recommended to add into the add into the compost?
There are only some composting method that not encourage putting in the citrus material. Okay, like for example, just now I say the bean composting and also the vermicompost. Not really, because this kind of environment they cannot digest acidic material. Okay, the citric material. Okay, so if you really want to uh, make use of this acidic or citrus material, you can put it in. Just now I say you can put it inside the hole. Okay, dig the hole and put inside. You can pile composting. You can make it into bokashi compost, and eventually you can make it into fruit enzyme. Okay, the fruit we the enzyme we make contains by using this kind of fruit contains a lot of antioxidant. When we spray to the plants, it gives better protection to the plants. It gives better nutrients for the plants. Okay, so this is what I suggest.
Then how about the papaya? Why is it not suitable to be?
Oh, similarly, because inside is considered as acidic fruit also.
Oh, okay. So there's another question regarding compost is how is it possible? I think this is more on the bean compost or the layer by
Yep.
layer
Yes.
compost. How
Yep.
could we control the NPK? For example, today I need a higher K or higher P in my compost. Is it possible for us to control it?
Okay, the ultimate goal for the compost is okay. We make it into fully fermented, broken down material first. So usually the end result for the compost will be like the NPK will be quite low, like 1:1:1. The ratio will be 1:1:1. Okay, so when we want it to be more nutrient specific or to be more functional, it's that after we already make the compost, okay, we have the compost and we add in more high nutrient source inside. For example, if we want to increase the nitrogen content, we mix the compost with a little bit more of, let's say, the vegetable meal, the soybean meal, or the sesame meal, okay, to increase the nitrogen content. If you want to add more phosphorus content, we mix the compost with little bit more, let's say, the rock phosphate, okay, the bone meal, okay, we can do it. If the potassium, okay, we can mix it with more what we call supplement, okay, supplement. You can find it from Lazada, Shopee, okay, supplement, okay, to increase the potassium content inside to make it more functional. Okay, but the end result of composting, it should be low nutrient but fully broken down nutrient and with a lot of trace element inside. Okay.
Okay, so for the bean compost, is it okay that we use normal garden soil to do the compost?
Yes, you can do it, uh, but the quality may not get may not be that consistent. So what we can do is we can add in more effective microbes on the soil, okay, to make sure that the microbes contained inside this environment is mostly good microbes, okay. So you can put in more effective microbes, or if you couldn't find one, at least you can find, like for example, Yakult or Vitagen inside got good bacteria inside. We can just dilute it with water and spray inside. It can help to promote good microbes inside the this composting environment too. Okay.
Okay, so there are some questions regarding the wormy compost. So is
Yep.
it for the wormy compost? You means the earthworm is the normal earthworm that in the garden, or we have to buy some from any specific source?
So, could be any earthworm, okay? Could be any earthworm. But the thing is that maybe there are some different kind of earthworms, okay? Some of the earthworm, they exist usually on the surface of the soil. Some of the earthworm, they love to live deep inside the soil. But no matter what kind of earthworm it is, it should be fine because they produce a good poop and they help to loosen the soil. So it's fine. Okay, no worries.
Okay, so regarding the bokashi, so just now you got mentioned that during doing the bokashi, we need to compact it. So is
Yes.
so the question is, really need to compact it? I think she is asking that, do you really need to very compact, or just a little bit press
that
on it?
do you know why it gives you that spatula? Because it gives the right amount of force to compact it. Okay, so we cannot just compare it with our hand. Okay, if you too compact, of course cannot lah. Okay, but with that spatula, okay, that's the right amount of the compactness, okay, of the material it should be. Okay, so use the spatula they provide you, or you can use a cooking spatula to compact. It's fine too, because if you put too much force, the spatula will break. Okay, so you know how much force you need to apply on that. Okay.
Okay, so for the will the bokashi tea expired?
Oh, the bokashi tea will not really. Oh, the bokashi tea will not really expire as long as you need to keep it inside what we call the opaque container. Okay, means that the container is not transparent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you keep it, and then you airtight, and then you just put it in a shady area. Okay, not exposed directly to the sun, so it should be fine. It should be fine. Okay.
Okay, then when the bokashi tea, why it will have a layer of oil at the top layer will have a layer of oil.
It should not be oil. Okay, it could be probably a layer of something, but it depends on the material you add it inside. Okay, and the material of the food waste you put inside the bokashi waste. Okay, so it's not oil, but something like a layer of microbe layer, something like that. Okay, it should not be oil.
Okay, so okay, so there's still some question regarding the bokashi. Is how the bokashi smell? If it is a very smelly, is it something went wrong?
Yeah. The bokashi.
Okay, then
Okay.
for
Okay. So if the bokashi smell, okay, but we come back to observe the color of the mold. Okay. If the color of the mold is white in color, it means it's fine. So what we can improve the bokashi compost better is we need to really get good quality bokashi brand, and we also can spray diluted wood vinegar, and then to make the composting process better and faster. Okay, this is what we can do.
okay, so there's a lot of friends asking about coffee ground. So for the coffee ground, do we need to dry it under sun before we put into the compost, or could we put the coffee ground directly onto the on the soil?
You can. Oh, that's why I say just now. I really not recommend just directly put the coffee ground to coffee ground to the soil. Okay, directly to the soil, because the fermentation process going on will actually hurt the plant. Okay, so that's why I say it's better to be composted first. Okay, you can use bean composting. You can use the do the bokashi compost wherever it is, and then to compost the coffee bean first. Okay.
Okay, then oh sorry, the sourdough that just now I am asking is not the sourdough baked bread, but it's the starter
Oh,
that discussed when they making the yeast.
oh, I think that should be fine. No worries, should be fine. Because yeast
Because
is
this is
one.
the active microbes, right?
Yes, yeast is one of the good things inside the EM. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, and
Okay,
there is
so
and there is one question I would like to answer, because a lot of people ask if there is maggots, there are worms inside the compost. Okay, how should I do? Okay, I think a lot of people ask this question. So the thing is that, okay, what we do is we can we can add in a little bit more compost. Okay, it depends on what composting method you are doing. Okay, but let's say you are doing the bean composting and there are maggots inside. So you just put more food waste, and then you just put another layer of the compost maker. Just now I say you can put compost or whatever, put another layer. Use, and then you let it do and then you let the composting process going on again. Eventually the microbes will start to digest the maggots inside, and then to make it more nutritious. Okay, but the thing is that we need to think about why there are maggots over there. It could be because the enclosure, the lid, okay, is not closed fully enough. Okay, so that the flies got chance to fly inside the compost bin and lay the egg inside. Okay, this could be one of the reason. The second reason is we let the compost being exposed to rain or exposed to moist or exposed to water, so there are water contained inside the food waste. When there are water inside the food waste, it starts to get smelly, and then it attracts the flies going here and lay the egg. Okay, so there are two things. Firstly, we need to make sure it's closed tightly, put the heavy object on top, and we also can put the plastic paper in between the lid. Okay, and also we need to avoid moist and rain. Okay.
okay, so okay, actually there's a lot of question, but okay,
We
so
try.
yeah, but the time is end already.
Let,
Okay,
let-
so never mind. So for friends that has any question that you wish to highlight again?
I think why not we open for another 3 minutes for them. Okay, because I see there are a lot of questions over here.
Okay, so another question is, okay, so for the coffee ground, just now they got mentioned, few friends they got mentioned that they use the coffee ground to adjust the pH, the soil
Mm-hmm.
pH. So if the
Okay.
coffee ground is not suitable to direct put on the soil, so what should any alternative way for them to?
Okay. So if let's say if the coffee ground is acidic, okay, and the ground is alkaline, we want to adjust back into neutral. Okay, the acidic material you can use compost. Okay, compost to adjust the pH. Okay, or you can use neem cake to adjust the pH, or you can put a little bit of sulfur. Okay, to adjust the pH also. So, okay, but sulfur you need not to put a lot. Sulfur is approved to be used in organic for soil amendment. So you can put a little bit of sulfur too. Okay, these are some suggestions.
Okay, and then for the field type, can we have you experience? Okay, for example, for those paper package, even eco-friendly packaging made from sugarcane, is it
Mm-hmm.
suitable to add into the compost?
Yes, 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 definitely. As long as there is no, like say the additives for the chemical additives on the packaging is to be fine. Hmm.
But for packaging, sure will have some chemical added inside, right?
No, 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 no. Let's say if the packaging material they add plasticizers inside. Of course, we cannot put it. But let's say the material is made fully from like the corn, okay, or whatever something biodegradable. You can just compost it. If the material already mentioned that it's biodegradable, of course we can put it inside the compost. Okay.
Okay. Then how about the liquid that we collect
Mm-hmm.
from the compost? Is this
Mm-hmm.
how and is it safe to use for to watering our plants?
Yes. So usually what we do is we dilute it 1,000 times. Let's say we have one plastic bottle cap is about 5 ml. We dilute it with 5 liter of water with watering can, and we just water the plant. And it helps to supplement the nutrient a little bit and also activate the soil, uh, the soil a little bit. Okay.
Okay. Then what is the best moment to add in the compost to our plants? Is it starting from the seeding or which stage is the most suitable to add on?
I usually compost is okay. Let's say if whenever we have bait, we have soil preparation, we need to mix with the soil. Okay, then during the starting phase, that's the best. That's the best stage of adding. But let's say for the fruit trees, okay, we just like apply on top of the soil like regularly. You can put it once a month or twice a month. As long as you put in, it helps to improve the soil properties. It should be fine.
Okay. So uh okay, so although there's a lot of questions, but we have to end for the section for tonight.
Oh,
But don't
okay.
worry, all friends, you are welcome to PM your question to our inbox. So because in Facebook we are a little bit hard, or sometimes the comment is auto hide by the Facebook. So
Yeah.
sometimes we are not really get your comment. So you are welcome to PM your question for those questions we didn't Hans didn't answer in this live section. All the time you are welcome to PM us. Okay, and then for all friends, remember to follow and like our Baba Gardening International, Baba Gardening, and Hijauan Baba. So every time when we have a FB Live workshop, you will automatically get the notification from the Facebook, so you will not miss out any moment with Hans and also with Jazz. Okay, so if you have an beside the composting question, if you have any question regarding your plants, sometimes the leaf turning brown or you don't know what is happened to your plants, so you are welcome to PM the plants condition to us also, but it's best to advise that you attach two pictures for us. For the first picture is you take a very close up picture which the plants section have the insect or have the any problems, and then the second picture is you take from far, so that we can have a look on the overall performance or overall condition of the plant, so we could better diagnose what happened to the plants, and we could advise further what you could do to your plants to help it recover or turning better.